Whoa, ooh, let me tell you, girl. Whoa, whoa, here I go, here I go. I know you heard us say it time and time again that they will rock a world and change your life. But I can't blame them cause you make up, wanna get involved, wanna get them draws. Ooh, well, I'm gonna put my bid in and get at you. No disrespect, but want it bad as they do. The only difference is they look out for themselves, but I'm doing it just to hear you yell, yeah. Oh,
Ooh,
this gonna be the sound, girl, when it's going down. Your body's saying, oh. You know that one, Omarion?
no, I don't think so, but I like it.
Oh, you probably got the, but I got this ice box where my heart used to be. You remember that one, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's an R&B song when at the beginning they're like, mm, ooh, uh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, we had a Tuesday podcast schedule as always, but had the anniversary go down. So you know,
Happy anniversary, bro. Two
yeah,
year,
Christy,
right?
2 years. Yeah, Christy always reminds me. I'm like, of course I remember that. Of course, why would I forget that? That's just I've got to take that off the calendar. I'm like, fuck. No, I'm kidding. No,
But
we
yeah,
just chilled,
what
man.
did y'all do, man?
The past weekend, man, we just like kind of chilled, like with all the travel that's been going down. We pretty much laid low, watch a ton of Love Island. You watch Love Island?
I don't, but Catherine does.
Dude,
So
it
I've
is
I've seen
unbelievable.
seen a couple episodes here and there, bro. I just can't believe the level of production because it's one episode every single day.
Content, brother, content. It is unbelievable. But it's one of those, I just watched like the season finale yesterday. Like I dead ass almost teared up a little bit. Not from
Really?
like
Okay.
the romances. The bromance is crazy. Like the guy's like,
Mm,
yo, bro, I'm gonna miss you, dog. I'm like, damn, they really was best friends.
yeah, because they're there for is it 90 days or 60 days?
Dude, I think it's a month or
A
something.
month? Oh
Like,
shit, yeah.
yeah,
So really, really fast, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we didn't do anything crazy. Went to a really dope restaurant. Gotta take you guys when you come visit next time. It's called Misi, Misi.
What
Unbelievable
genre? What
pasta.
genre of food is it? More pasta?
Ital- yeah, Italian. The pasta was unbelievable. I went like a week and a half ago for my best friend's kind of post city hall wedding,
Mhm.
brunch. I was like, Chrissy, we got to go back. This shit is so fire. So we just did that. Drank a lot of wine, watched a lot of tennis, and then that's about it, bro. What have you been up to?
Some red chilled wine. Not much, man. Got went up and saw y'all this
Oh
past
fuck,
weekend, right?
dude, that feels like
Yeah,
forever ago.
I know, dude. I mean, that was last Friday, man. But yeah, spent the weekend eating around over in Flushing, and then took the ferry over to Jersey, saw my parents for the day, and then came back Monday. But yeah, I'm still trying to get over this congestion, man. And you guys should have seen me last Friday when I was out eating with Andy. I was just like just like congestion, like phlegm all over the place while we're eating pizza. Like,
Straight up, and Daniel was just like, oh, you should just do a hot toddy. Orders him a hot toddy and a Guinness. I was like, dude, this is not gonna help. Like, this is definitely not gonna help. Did it help?
he's like, yeah, no, you can't only have one though. You gotta have five.
Yeah. Oh man. Um. Oh brother. Oh brother. I think the one thing that Daniel did do really well though with the hot toddy is he sold it to you, and I think there's a lot of things that you have to overcome in order to sell something to somebody else, which is what we're going to be talking about today. How is that for a transition?
Dude, I was wondering how we are gonna transition into that, but that was pretty smooth, man.
Uh,
And yes, he did sell me on it because as sick as I was, I did end up taking a hot toddy and a Guinness with Daniel.
and that was after Peter said during dinner said, "No, no, I'm not drinking today. I'm
No,
good."
yeah,
Like,
no
I'm
alcohol for me, and then an hour or two later, here we are. So sales, and I'll bet you, Daniel probably did not feel icky at all when he was trying to convince me to drink that Guinness and hot toddy.
Daniel's like, this is. It's like, dude, this is exactly what you need, and I've got the solution for you. And if I don't do this, if I don't get you to drink this hot toddy, then I'm doing you a disservice as a friend. And I think, with sales, oh man, there's so many mindset shifts that have to occur. Peter, what's the first, like, what, ultimately, like, what are all, we're probably going to go back and forth a couple of times because I feel like there's so many different things with sales that you have to keep overcoming. But start us up, start us up.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, like one of the biggest things that, people, especially for physical therapists, I know myself that I first like had to overcome was just the fact that, hey, like I actually have to sell somebody something, right? Whereas in the typical traditional sense of like insurance physical therapy, it's you're not really like thinking of like sales or anything. You just, hey, like, all right, I'm treating clients. But all of a sudden you transition into cash pay. It's like all of a sudden, oh shit, like we got to sell, higher ticket items, which at the time for me was like $150. I was like, holy shit, I got to convince somebody to sell, to pay me $150. All of a sudden, right, we get all these kind of like misconceived perceptions of like, oh, I don't want to come off super sleazy and all that. So I think that was something that I had to kind of slowly chip away and overcome at. But speaking of like used car salesman, that's like a very common term, right? That I feel like people are always talking about when it comes to sales. It's just how you have this like common misconception of like, hey, someone just like, barking down your throat, super high pressure sales and stuff. But what's the origination of this used car salesman? And also too, I mean, like, I'll bet you there's some pretty good, like, ethical car salesmen out there, but unfortunately, they probably just have to wear this label of like, man, I'm a used car salesman.
Yeah. So, man, I was actually talking before we hopped on. I was like, "Yo, this is great because I actually learn about the history of the used car salesman analogy that people use, and most of these things come from like a certain era. So, pretty much after uh, World War II, I believe it was, there was an abundance of like cars that were being produced, and then over time, like there was a massive use for like used cars as well. So used cars became a very popular thing in the past, and with certain countries, essentially, there was such a demand for used cars instead of like brand new cars that people were trying to buy used cars, and there would be car salesmen that would basically tell you wrong specs or wrong information just to get the
Mhm.
sale because the demand for used cars was so high but the supply was so low. So whenever people were selling essentially used cars, they were just essentially lying to the people that were buying it, and it didn't matter because the demand was so high. But
That's
that's where
actually
the
that's actually really
analogy come
interesting because
from.
I had no idea. So they're pretty much trying to sell somebody something that they didn't have a need for, or they didn't have a want for, right?
Exactly. Or
But
they're just lying about the specs.
Yeah, lie about specs. But if we think about it, and this is something that I didn't even realize at all. Somebody had to literally explain it to me when I was going through like a sales course. Just like all these people that are walking in through your door, you're not like scraping their contact information from like a list or whatever, right? These are all people that voluntarily raised their hand and said, "Hey, like I have a problem and I'm interested in getting this problem solved." And so if we have a solution, right, for their problem, then we should not have like any kind of I shouldn't feel bad about selling them the solution in order so that they can get the help that they need. But a lot of times, like I would just feel so like weird and icky if like someone's like, oh no, like I gotta think about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, all good. And I wouldn't want to like say anything more. When in reality, like I feel like I say this a lot, but I feel like it's our ethical duty to be able to do everything that we can, provide them with all the right information, right? Obviously, not lying to them about the wrong specs or anything about what we have to it is to offer. If we provide them with all the right information, then I consider good enough.
The There's a couple of things I've heard recently. Someone said that nothing amazing happens without somebody else helping somebody else along the way, right? So if you're building a business, if you're trying to conquer the world, if you're trying to put somebody in the moon, like all of these things are done as a team or as a group of people or a community that facilitate one another. So as a constant, we should always be learning. We should always be looking to expand our network, deepen some relationships, because that's ultimately what's going to make us successful. But I was thinking the other day, I'm like, nothing ever happened without really good salesmanship, right? Like, no significant change in the world occurred until someone sold you on an idea. And those are things like you have to consider. It's like if you want to transform someone's life, you have to be able to get really good at sales. Otherwise, that person's going to continue living the way that they've been living. And if it's not what they want, because obviously they fill out a form, then you need to be the person to show them that, especially if you could help them.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think a lot of times, like, if our goal is to be able to help as many people as we can, right? Be the best physical therapy clinic in your local town, be able to transform and change as many lives as possible. How can we do that if we have no sales process, if we don't feel comfortable asking uncomfortable questions in the subjective, or understanding how to handle objections, right? When maybe potentially another healthcare provider, whether it's a massage therapist, a chiropractor, or even surgeons, right? Maybe they have a better sales process. And now all of a sudden they're, because of how good their sales process is, maybe other people who potentially could utilize our help and could benefit from us, all of a sudden they're getting sold into something that may not be the best path for them. And so if we want to be able to help people and get them the best outcome as possible, and you truly like can, you understand the value of what you're able to provide, and you understand that to a level of conviction, then you should have no problem at all, asking the right questions to be able to get somebody over that kind of like hump so that they can actually get the service they need and get the help that they need to get the goal that they want to be able to achieve.
So the first thing I would say, definitely think of sale. Changing sales is like not this like, oh, used carsman thought process, but has like an actual profession, an actual skill that is very, very meaningful and utilizing to serve somebody. Think about the time where like you didn't want to go out. Maybe you're a dude, right? And like you're like, bro, I'm so tired. I'm just gonna just relax today. And then your buddy was like, come on, man, it's gonna be so fun. This party's gonna be so dope. Come on, just come. And they're like, it's gonna be this, and like, we'll do this for you. And then you go out and like, that was the fucking best party ever. Thank you for dragging me out. Or maybe you're a girl and like you recently had a breakup, and your gal friends were like, yo, there's no way I'm gonna let you just like sit and mope. That guy was a fucking asshole anyway. We're about to get drinks and we're gonna get hammered. And that girl was probably like, no, but I love him. And the girls were like, I don't give a fuck. We're going outside. And all of a sudden you meet a new dude and he's fucking dope. And like, thank you guys for dragging me outside, right? It's like all those are just cases, the same thing, the same thought process. There's a good idea, doing something to save you, and I'm gonna sell you on that idea. So even though you're like, oh, I don't know about sales, you're doing it already. Every single time you're trying to support a friend, single time you're trying to influence someone's decision making, it's happening all the time. You've probably done it multiple times in your life. Now you get to do it intentionally.
Yeah. So funny that you mentioned that analogy of like, hey, like getting dragged out by a friend, and all of a sudden a couple hours later in the future, you're like, oh, thank you so much for
Yeah.
convincing me to actually come out. Because I think about all the time, like all the clients that we've signed on that, right, that we've sold into our program, not one of them has been mad at the end and been like, yo, I was pissed I paid you 3K to help me solve this back thing. All of them were like incredibly thankful, like, yo, like, thank you so much for like helping me overcome like that one belief that I had on and actually getting me enrolled into this program and transforming my life. And like I think a lot of times, like if we think about, hey, we aren't able to convince somebody over to get over this like limiting hump that they have, like while they're sitting in the evaluation room with them, man, like we fast forward 2 or 3 months down the line, are they going to be in a happy position or are they still going to be in a sad position? And every single person that we've, quote, quote, push to kind of enroll into our program, whether it's through a couple of tactics or whatever, through the sales process, not one of them has been pissed. And so every single time I, hear like a client success story where it's like, yo, thank you so much. Like this was a life changer. It basically just reinforces the fact that, hey, like we should not feel bad about having a really good sales process that enrolls people into something that can change their life.
Big facts. And that's the same. That's kind of the segue I was trying to get to, right? It's like you think that you're doing or you think that it's a bad thing, and then someone literally goes, thank you so much for taking me along that experience, or thank you so much for the push. This is exactly what I needed. And that happens all the time. Other thing that you have to think about, you also oftentimes people think selling is manipulative, or like I'm manipulating someone, and that's a very limiting mindset, right? I think, and the one thing we always say is like we're using sales psychology to help people make good decisions. It can definitely be manipulative if you're trying to sell someone something that they don't need.
Yeah, but if we exactly what you said, right? If they don't need it, but everybody that comes in, it's like, hey, I have some sort of problem, whether it's performance and or pain based, that I'm looking to improve my current situation.
Yeah, the manipulative side of things, it's like you've maybe gotten scanned before in the past, or you had a bad experience with something. But that doesn't mean like every single profession or every single person that does that same exact thing has the same exact problem, right? Like you're gonna go to a bad restaurant. Does that mean every single restaurant is gonna be bad? You're gonna encounter people that are terrible at sales, right? And they don't actually listen to your story, try to diagnose your problem, and give you a real tangible solution. Doesn't mean that every single salesperson is bad. I've met a bunch of people that do sales where I'm like, wow, you're awesome. Like you genuinely cared about me. You listened to everything I had to say. Sometimes they propose the right solution for me. It's exactly what I needed. Sometimes they literally refer me out to somebody else. And I think when you're doing sales, you can't think every single person I'm going to encounter, I'm going to close on them, right? That's the wrong perspective. You got to think every single person I encounter, I want to listen to their story, diagnose their problem, see if we're a right fit. If not, I want to be able to guide them, to the right resource.
Yeah, I think if we can take the approach and the mindset of like, hey, I'm acting as a guide, I'm trying to be as curious as possible and to learn a little bit more about what their current situation is, then you can approach it more like a just way differently than thinking about, hey, like my goal is to sell them into this one thing. I think a lot of times too, it's like with some of these questions that we're asking on the subjective, right? Like, hey, what have you tried so far? Questions on urgency, like, hey, like just curious, like what's gotten you wanting to get this addressed now? What have you ever thought about what might occur if this issue doesn't get resolved? A lot of times, whenever we're coaching some of these physical therapists on how to ask these questions to get a deeper understanding of what the eval's problem and situation is, a lot of times these PTs and myself included, when I started like trying to ask some of these more like deeper questions, I was like, man, like, is this gonna come off as like super sleazy? Is this gonna come off as like super salesy? But but like if you actually integrate it in with all of your other traditional subjective questions, like, hey, like, well, how's the pain level, is you're literally just being like as inquisitive as possible. And if anything, you're taking it to almost like a deeper level because you're asking questions that not a lot of other healthcare providers are actually asking. And so we'll have a lot of times, like after we finish up the subjective side of things, the lead will, or the eval in there will actually be like, oh, wow, like, no, I think you covered everything and like to a lot more of a thorough extent than I actually ever would have imagined. And I think that just speaks volumes to actually being able to show the prospect and the eval that, hey, we actually truly do care about you. And that's what we're asking all these like deeper questions to be able to understand, what's the problem that you're looking to get solved and why are we looking to get it solved today? I think you're muted, bro.
Damn. Oliver just came back from his walk and was like barking up a storm. I'm like, I gotta get out of the kitchen. So I just muted. But we have so many podcasts on that stuff. So like if you're interested in like how we create a gap, like there's a couple of podcasts on like discovery call, taking a sale, etc., how to optimize for your workshops and injury screens. Take a look at a podcast catalog. Literally, there's a bunch of gems in there about creating that gap, like Peter's saying. And think about the last time that one of your buddies was going through something really tough, right? What did you do? It's like, hey man, what's going on? Damn, how long has it been going for? How long? Oh, no wonder. Has that been affecting you this way as well? Because I noticed that this was happening. Like you're always caring and being more inquisitive. So you can't think of asking those questions as a means to manipulate someone. You're asking those questions because you genuinely care and you want to figure out like what this really means to them. Because you gotta make you got to motivate people to take action from those internal motivators, right? Not external motivators. External motivators technically do matter to a degree, but the reason why people take action is because the internal motivation causes them to do so. I think the other thing people get, man, is like they did just immediately say like, "Oh, I'm not a natural salesperson." And the frame that I've been changing up recently, it's like instead of saying that I don't have sales skills, you should just say like I haven't developed a sales muscle. Just think of everything as like a muscle, right? And how do muscles improve? You train that shit. If you don't train it, the muscles will atrophy. So how often have you tried doing sales before in the past? Or you haven't? Perfect. There's a lot of low hanging fruit. You're gonna get an obscene amount of beginner gains just by getting those reps in. But when you just tell yourself, I'm not good at sales, I'm not good at marketing, well, I'm not good at public speaking, just say, I haven't developed my sales muscle yet. I haven't developed my marketing muscle yet. I haven't developed my public speaking muscle yet. Everything is a skill. Every single skill can be trained like a muscle.
Yeah, I love that because nobody actually comes into this world being naturally gifted at just about anything. And So like a lot of you guys, like for inside our GGC community, I coach people on sales, and sales is something that I freaking sucked at so bad. And that's why like over the last 2, 3 years, I specifically enrolled into a bunch of sales courses like myself, just so I knew like how can I actually become better at this one thing. Because it was easily like the worst thing that it was the one thing that I was like so tremendously bad at. Anytime someone is like, oh, I got to think about it, or oh, I got to talk to my spouse, I have a little bit just like, oh, okay, yeah, no worries. Like, just give me a call whenever you're ready. I had absolutely no idea how to like overcome it, and I knew that if I wasn't able to actually like, navigate this appropriately, then I was not going to be able to take it to the next level. But lo and behold, the more I dove deeper into it, the more I understood it from an overall tactical framework, the more I actually implemented it into the evals that I was getting, and the more I started like coaching my team on it. All of a sudden, I started getting better. And when you start to get better at something, then it starts to actually become fun and you actually become good at it. But the thing is, like, everyone that you see that is like good at something, they all had tremendous multiple amounts of reps, multiple amounts of rejections, multiple like times and scenarios and situations of something that doesn't come out to the outcome that they want. And only does the fact that that occur is the only way that you're actually able to understand and navigate, like, cool, like what did I actually learn from this and how do I like navigate it differently the next time.
And even if you're a natural salesperson, guess what? You still got to do the fucking work. Like
Yeah.
LeBron is naturally gifted at basketball. Dude works probably harder than everybody else. Kobe, maybe not quite as naturally gifted, just work harder than everyone else and made himself better. There are people that sometimes are even playing the wrong sport, right? Like Joel Embiid, one of the best centers in NBA, like didn't even start playing basketball until like senior year of high school, right? But in order to develop those skills and make that evolution so quickly from playing all the other sports that he was playing, you got to work at it. So even when you have natural talent, you still got to freaking work at it. The next thing that I used to always say, it's like maybe people can't afford this and it's too expensive. And the reality of it is, one, you can't count other people's money, but two, dude, you should see what people spend their money on.
Yeah.
There are so many things that people are spending their money on that don't even bat an eye. Like these $50 Uber Eats orders every single night when they could just literally walk down the street, pop in a bottle on the weekend, you know, obscene trips and like spending lavishly on miscellaneous things that they almost forget. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you go on a trip, it's like, oh, we're gonna upgrade this sick hotel, and that's awesome. But when you're on a trip, you're like barely in a hotel, and you're just going all over the place. Like people are just spending lavishly all of the time, and
Yeah.
I would say that maybe 10 to 15% of people that will say that truly can't afford it. The rest, you just haven't shown enough value.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And one little framework that I like to say is like, for us, we sell our plans of care around 3K. And someone's, we'll always get people like, well, wow, like that's a lot. I'm like, well, if you think about it, all you would need to do is just save $8 a day for the next year. You think that's something you'd be able to do? And so when you kind of break it down like that, right? Like $8 a year, $8 a day for the next year, yeah, it comes out to 3K. But when you kind of break it down like that's like, yeah, it's not a lot of money. I can probably not go out and spend $8 on a coffee that I'm already kind of spending. And so like the $3,000 that they're spending, they're gonna spend it over the next like month, 2 months, 3 months. Like that money will be spent, but can we allocate it towards something that's actually important? And the only reason that somebody will actually, spend it on something that they important is if, exactly what you said, right? If they truly see the value in it and they feel like, hey, this is something that's important enough for them to, actually want to move forward with. And really, when it comes down to finances, I think a lot of times, like if it is a true financial thing, one of the frameworks that we have is just actually walking somebody through what does their monthly budget look like and seeing, hey, do we actually have enough cash flow and or do we have actually enough credit available to be able to actually afford this program. And a lot of times when I first started learning about this, I was like, man, I'm so nervous to ask about someone about their finances, dude. Like that's not comfortable at all. I was like, no shit, because you never actually done it before. But I think this analogy like really resonated with me, and it's really the fact that like you know if we're a guide and we're if we're acting as a guide and acting as a friend next to them, trying to help them get to the solution, then we should act as a friend. And so if me and you we're going out, we're car shopping for Lambos or Porsches, right? It's like, yo, like Andy, what's your favorite Porsche model that you're looking to get right now, man? Oh, you're muted again, bro.
Dang it. Dude, honestly, I'm not even like look. I don't even know the models. I'm just knowing the shapes. But gotta
The
go with
shakes.
the 911 Carrera
The
or
911.
whatever.
All right, so it's like me and my boy, and we're going out shopping. Andy wants a new 911 Carrera. He's like, "Yo, this is dope colorway. It's red. It's 911 Carrera. It's a 2025 model." It's like, "Yo, should I get it?" Like, what's the first thing I'm gonna ask him? It's like, "Yeah, it looks dope," but it's like, bro, like, how much money you got? Is this something that we're actually able to afford? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, okay, cool. I mean, like, how much you making every single month? All right. So it's really just like, how can we help them understand, or how do we actually? A lot of times people will say like, oh, I need to check my finances, right? Well, it's like, all right, cool. Well, let's walk through it. Like, how much do we have to allocate towards our health and wellness at the end of every single month? And we walk them through, and a lot of times, when we do that, people are actually like, oh yeah, I can actually pull from here, or oh yeah, I actually can probably reallocate funds from this area that I actually probably don't need. But the only way we're actually able to help them see that is if we actually ask them, like, well, what are we actually working with here?
And the other thing I would say, honestly, it's like totally get it that it's expensive, right? Because you don't want to like you don't want to create those barriers. But it's always imposing like some thoughtful questions. Sometimes it's like, but do you feel like this can get even more expensive if it gets worse? Right? Like you're already considering surgery. Like, do you feel like it could get more expensive? And if people say no, it's like perfectly fine. But for the most part, people are gonna be like, yeah, you're fucking right. Like it's gonna get more expensive. So it's like, listen, like it's gonna be the best money you've ever spent, and you can value stack afterwards, right? Like I know this investment feels like a lot up front, but we're gonna be doing so much for you, and these are things that you can use for the rest of your life. That's why it's so important to do it now. Not
Yeah,
only
I
is it gonna
mean,
get more expensive to fix later, but it's like start to they might forget all the shit that they're getting.
yeah, and it's like you obviously you have the monetary cost, but also think about like what's the total opportunity and time cost lost as well too, right? If we go the other way, if either we go into surgery, cool, that's all of a sudden it's another year probably lost, depending on the type of surgery, or if they go to maybe like a different provider, insurance based, that probably isn't able to get them the help they need. Great. Now we wasted like $40 a copay of what 2, 3 times a week for the next 2, 3 months, and we're still not back, and we're still back at square one. So all of a sudden, we wasted 2, 3 months of time where maybe if we already spent the 2, 3 months already here with us, all right, cool. 2, 3 months later, we're already back to doing X, Y, Z. It's like we have that time cost as well too, and that's something that not a lot of people will actually recognize and explain to their evals as well.
This one is gonna hit just because as you're getting, uh, man, when you're getting into sales and you've done shit your whole life that protects you, right? You never try things that push you out of your limits. You've probably been told yes all the time. And those things that you were going to attempt where you might have failed or said no, you probably didn't do those things because you're trying to protect your ego. But guess what? If you're going into business, your ego is going to get fucking beat the shit out of
Get
constantly,
ready to
right?
lose, motherfucker.
Yeah. Um, but when you don't get the sale, doesn't mean you're not good enough, right? And I think so many times people get rejected from sales, and limiting mindset just means I'm not good enough, and that's just maybe there are certain things that you could develop, but man, I know so many people that when someone says no to them, they get put in such a negative headspace. I'm like, yo, chill out, you're good, right? There's nothing wrong with you, like you're fine. And I think a limiting mindset there is just like people constantly go back to feel like I'm not good enough for this, I'm not good enough for this, and they just like negative spiral after a rejection. Like,
Bro,
do you feel that ever?
people take it so personally, man. And I used to do this myself. I was like, oh man, like they don't want my help. Like, man, what was it something about me? Was it something that I said? And take it so damn personally when in reality, like, man, like you want to get used to rejection, go like knock doors. Go do door to door sales,
Yeah.
man. Like or just like go through some couple different practices where you just learn to get rejected, because when you learn to get rejected, that's actually a skill in of itself, because you just develop such a like thick enough skin where you just don't take it personally. But yeah, dude, like I still get rejected. Like I'm not 100% in sales, but I'm okay. Like I sleep so good at night because I've done everything that I could to help provide the eval with as much information as possible. And if they still want to go with a different option, then all is good. and I go to sleep good at night, and I'm on to helping the next person that walks in through my door tomorrow, and I don't let it affect me at all. Whereas before, man, like I would take it so personally, I would drag that negative energy in with me to my next client, man. Like sometimes if I'm running back to back, like I'll be like, oh shit, like now it's affecting my mood with my next with sometimes my next eval or next follow-up visit. And now it's not a good session. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, when you have like back to back discovery calls, back to back evaluations, like you got to come correct after, no matter what happens before, because the person that you see after deserves the best version of yourself. So, like, you just got to be able to, we say it all the time, take it seriously, but don't take it personally. You got to move on and make sure that you're showing up best for the next person.
Yeah. One thing that we do, so we have a couple of different PTs, and with that, we're always trying to manage like sales process and sales conversion. A lot of it has to come with like being able to sell with conviction, having that energy, feel like, hey, you're on the right path. And of course, we're going to get rejections throughout the week. But what we do at the beginning of every single week is we basically read all the new Google reviews that we've gotten from the previous week. And so we emphasize the fact that, hey, like, yo, like you guys are doing a tremendous job of changing so many people's lives within the community. And when they hear that at the beginning of the week, it's no surprise. Like Monday and Tuesdays, dude, it's always our like best sales conversions days for whatever reason. But it's just like I feel
That's
like a lot of times when you go into it and you're just like you're able to sell with a certain type of energy, maybe versus like towards the end of the week, you're tired, you're drained. And it's like, all right, whatever. Like if this person doesn't convert, all right, whatever. It's way different. So I always like to have my PTs definitely read the Google reviews, and then same thing with our SDRs that are doing the discovery calls every single day when we do our daily huddle. I'm always like asking, hey, like what was a win from yesterday? No matter how big or small it is, like what's a win? How many lives, how many conversations do we get to change people's lives with yesterday? Like let's kick it off.
I love that, man. There's a great study on that too. It was done on radiologists, where like radiologists only see the image. They don't actually see like what happens afterwards. And they showed radiologists and presented them the cases of some of the, images reports that they did and what happened afterwards. And they showed that the radiologists that got to see the patient and the outcome that they got had reported more job satisfaction and higher motivation than radiologists that just kept reading images, right?
Mm.
So I think oftentimes there's a disconnect. Like, all right, I schedule this person for a call, and that person's going to see a PT, but I don't ever get to, we call it open loops and closed loops, right? I open a loop, but I don't close this loop. I'm just opening a bunch of fucking loops. I actually don't know whatever happened to that patient, and to be able to know that that patient got the outcome that they were looking for probably feels so dope.
Um, and the only way we can ensure that they got a good outcome is if we actually sell them, right?
Yeah.
We actually sell them into our damn program because, dude, like somebody who doesn't enroll into our program, I guarantee you, like 3 to 6 months, a year from now, if I see them out at Run Club, pickleball courts, or even in a shopping center, who knows? Like, there's a very high percentage that they either A, are in a worse position than they currently were a year ago when they were sitting my evaluation, or B, like nothing actually changed and they're still in the same spot. And so it's like, if we truly want to be able to help these people, then we have to do everything that we can in our power to make sure that they can get the help they need. Because the only help that I know that they will be able to get that can ensure a good outcome is if they come and work with us. I know like the quality of care that we provide is tremendous. The other stuff out there, I mean, yeah, it might be good, it might not, but I just don't know. And that's an uncertainty that like I don't know. I wouldn't want my mom to go through that uncertainty. I want to like give her something that I know is like 99% success rate.
The and Peter speaking with conviction, and Peter, people that are in our group, like we push them, right, to do stuff that's like super uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, if you're so freaking good at, building a business, doing all these things, you don't need to change, right? You should have the outcomes already, but you don't have the outcomes. And if you don't have the outcomes, that means you got to do something that's different, and it's being pushy. It's caring, right? And oftentimes people will say, thank you for guiding me along the way. Thank you for, following up with me. Thank you for like constantly touching base with me. It really showed me that you cared. And I think one of the biggest things, especially if you're not touching base with your patients and prospective leads, or discovery calls, whatever it is, oh, I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to send them too many messages, right? But the truth is, if you don't follow up with someone, they probably don't think you care.
It's like, bro,
And
like
yeah,
like your best friend or Chrissy, right? Your wife, your best friend. How often are you texting you guys every single day? Probably
Every day.
fairly often, right? Because well, why is that? Why are we texting this person that we actually care about? Right? Because we actually want to know what's going on with them. Hey, like, has your situation changed? Like, what's new? Right. And so if you actually care about somebody or the lead, like you say you do, then yes, you would want to touch base with them as probably as much as possible, right? Versus like all the other clinics down the road, if once they hear a no, they're probably never like contacting that lead again because they either A took it too personally or B they feel like they're being too sleazy or too pushy by trying to follow up with this patient. Of course, with us, dude, we have no problem following with someone on a weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever it is, to really make sure they either got the help that they needed or B, if they didn't get the help they need, okay, cool. Are you ready to actually get some help now and see some change in your life?
And touching base, like when you're doing it, don't think of it as touching base to close the sale. Think of it about touching base. I genuinely care about this person. And last time we talked, they were dealing with debilitating back pain. And I want to make sure that they're okay. Or, hey, this person went to another clinic and I know that clinic fucking sucks. I'm touching base with them to make sure they got the outcome that they wanted. If they got the outcome that they wanted, dope, right? Like, perfect. That's why we have a business. It's to solve problems in the world and ideally change people's lives. And if they get it with us or somebody else, like it's perfectly fine. It's if you say it's mission driven and you're here to help people, it doesn't matter if it's with you or somebody else. So just remember that. But most of the time when you follow with people, and there's not a lot of great quality providers around you, they didn't get the outcome that they wanted. And when they feel stuck, like this again, just becomes this negative spiral, learned helplessness, all these, quotes or phrases or terms to describe someone that's given up hope. Like you don't want people to get to that point. You just want to be a beacon of light for people, and you can't do that unless you're touching base. You can't do that if you're thinking you're going to be too pushy.
Yeah. Get them in, and then they want the negative energy. Just play them some sad boy music in the clinic while they get the help. Bro, I don't know, man. Sometimes I enjoy those sad boy music, sad boy vibes, man. Um,
We have R&B all the time, dog. R&B, some acoustic good music, sad boy shit. Sometimes like all that
yeah,
stuff.
dude. I think one of the things that I struggle with at the very beginning as well too is I would push my perceived value of my services and feel like the lead has the same amount of knowledge that I do. So meaning like a lot of times we already have the information. So we feel like the value and the information that we're able to help somebody out with really isn't that valuable. And it's like, oh, it's like I feel bad like charging this much for them because like I wouldn't pay this service myself. Right? But in reality, a lot of times, like these people are not us, and good thing they aren't, right? Because then they would already have the solution, but they don't have the solution, and they like really value something that we're actually able to provide, right? Like having a good health, being able to move their body without pain, but for us, we already have the knowledge in terms of how to navigate and get somebody there. And that's why a lot of times, like if we already have it and we're seeing this on a day to day, a lot of times we just don't value it as much as somebody coming in. So don't put your own like perception of like what you value your skill set as like somebody actually coming in because they view it completely different. And I'm honestly so curious to like, I wish I could like, I'm trying to see if I could like ask it, but in a way, but like all the people that did get all come through our program and pay us money, and they're all super happy. I'm like, man, like just curious, like towards the end, like like how much would you have really paid, like upper limit? And I wouldn't be surprised, like if some people say like, oh, like 10K, 15K, to get the outcome that we were able to get them for what, like fucking 3K, you know?
Yeah, the thing that I was thinking about was like there's like certain prompts in certain surveys, and that's like the next deep dive I'm going into is like fucking surveys, bro. Yo, do you use survey? Like you have like some surveys that we will ask for like testimonials from like patients and stuff like that. But there's a couple of surveys where you're not even a client yet. Like certain websites open and they immediately ask, "Hey, do you want $100 off? Can you complete the survey?" And then you get $100 off, and it's just getting a shit ton of information. And if you see trends, and you can update your website and stuff. But one of the questions people will ask even before is like, "How much would you pay for a product like this?" Like it's just gauging interest. And honestly, like sometimes, like after you've given someone an outcome, hey, I know initially you had mentioned like you're on the fence because of price, like just curious, like do you feel like it's worth investment, or like just curious, like, and if they do say yes, it's like knowing what you know now, would you actually pay more? And don't do this to like patients that you're not close with. There's certain patients, they just want to fucking see you win,
Yeah.
and you can ask these questions. I've had a mentee. He was like, "Yeah, I'm only halfway through, bro. Raise your price." To moment mentorship, right? I'm like, "Damn, bro." He's like, "I would easily pay 5,000. Wouldn't bat an eye." I'm like, "Damn."
No, I love that. Speaking of pricing, dude, I think we're going to be testing our pricing out on a monthly basis. Usually, what we used to do is like we would raise our price like once a year, and then I would get so nervous every single time we raise our prices, bro. I'm like, holy shit, are people gonna buy? But yeah, dude, like last month we bumped up our prices and our conversion rate stayed exactly the same. So, and then Hormozy's one of his playbooks came out on pricing, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, you should test on a monthly or quarterly basis until you kind of find that sweet spot." So I think for us, honestly, like we're just gonna continue like raise it by like $200 every single time for like a plan of care until we drop below like 40% and kind of see like what that sweet spot is. But yeah, I mean, like just hearing some of the prices that some of our local chiropractors are charging and whatnot. It's like I feel like we could probably get up to like 4K, 5K, and still do all right. And like this is fucking Jacksonville, Jacksonville, Florida.
Big money in Jacksonville, Florida, brother. No, but that's the one thing we're also going to be increasing our prices too. It's just you have to, right? And like you, and this is not like a, we got like the webinar this Sunday. This is going to be one thing I talk about because like so many people are like, yeah, but I won't be able to treat the population. Maybe like my father wouldn't be able to afford this. I'm like, when you make more money, you can have a pro bono spot. You know what I mean? Like we have one or two pro bono spots, and it's for people that truly can't afford it, and we want to help them. But you can't do that unless you're making money, right? So it's like when you make more money, you can make a bigger impact. We've already talked about it as a team, like we should do some sort of nonprofit thing. With Moment PTP, it's like we volunteer, we donate money. Moment Education, same thing. It's like when you make money, you can help other people, you can serve other people more. So you gotta learn sales.
Like if you want to pay your team well, if you want to be able to run ads, if you want to be able to have a forward like an SDR and pay them well, like you got to have enough margin baked into your pricing to be able to afford all that. You want your own standalone space with equipment? Great. Raise your fucking prices because if you're at $150, like good luck trying to hire some staff. Like you're probably still going to stay in your sublease for a very, very long time.
Facts. Last thing I'll say is like I think it's mainly like certain people that are like hardos when it comes to like the clinical side of things, and I'm definitely still on. Like my personal bias is, if you're really good clinically, like your sales skills don't have to be amazing, and you could still crush it. But this is kind of like a build your own character, right? Like clinical skills 10 out of 10, right? Sales skills 3 out of 10. It's like, well, what if you just upgraded your sales skills? Like, I'm not saying that you wouldn't do well if you're phenomenal clinically. I'm just saying you could do better, right? Like, and that's where it gets really really fun.
Yeah. Um, Talking of getting better, and I'm gonna loop back to what you were talking about with, some of those greats that were playing basketball in the day, back in the day, right? Dennis Rodman, Kobe, all those guys did all those repetitions to get better. But also, one of the things that the greats also do as well too is that they do game tape review. So to review what actually went on during like the game, and for us, it's like, hey, what actually goes on during the evaluation and or discovery call. And so one of the things over the last, I would say probably like 2.5 years that we started doing is actually recording our evaluations. And boy, let me tell you, like when we first started doing that, I was so nervous. I was like, bro, how are patients gonna take this? Like thinking about like, hey, we're gonna record our evals. But it's like, lo and behold, we asked them, hey, like, yo, you cool if we record this for like quality training purposes? And like 99% of people are, oh yeah, like not a problem. And so again, it's always just like it's always us getting our own way of like thinking about, oh, is this gonna be so weird? And it's like we always make it such a big ass deal when in reality, like it's really not. But yeah, anyways, like game day review is super important. I would say like probably one of the biggest things that has helped me improve my sales process, conversion is really just understanding and listening to like what the hell am I actually saying when people are actually saying some of these objections. What does my tonality sound like? a lot of times in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is what I think I should say, or this is what I feel like I did say in the past. When in reality, I look back on it, I'm like, well, you ding dong, like why the heck did you say that?
Ding dong.
Bro, I still to this day, man. Like every week, I'll like listen back on some of my evals that I didn't close, and I'm like, man, I should have maybe said this instead. But I think that's like one of the good things that has allowed me to improve so well is really just like every single one that I don't close on, I always like listen back to the point of like, man, what was one thing that I could have done differently that I can say differently in the next evaluation moving forward? And the only way you can do that is if you actually like do a review. Otherwise, if you're not reviewing it and you're not listening back, then you're probably going to make the same mistake over and over and over again. Because that's exactly what happened to me at the beginning. I would say the same exact thing every single time someone said, "Let me think about it. Let me go talk to my spouse." I say the same exact thing, and of course, I would get the same exact result.
Dude, it's the game tape stuff and just being critical of yourself. I just had that same problem happen. I was evaluating someone and I was like, oh man, this guy literally said all the things already, like during the subjective. Like, yeah, I just wanted to come in and you guys are so much different than all the PTs and like all these things that I've been dealing with. I just want to get them resolved already. I'm like, perfect, no sense of urgency, right? And I got like a little bit chilled and lackadaisic with it. And then near the end, when I close, it's like, oh yeah, I just want to go, session by session. I try to unpack these things. Like, yeah, I just want to get a feeler for like what's gonna happen. And I was like, oh man, like I got to just stay on my game. And then when I talked to the PT afterwards, he's like, I'm like, what you think? And then, they asked me for my feedback. I'm like, honestly, the one thing I didn't do the things that I usually do when I speak with conviction. Like, if this doesn't change, you're not going to get better. If this doesn't change, like that thing that you're wanting to improve, it's going to be like that forever. Like, this absolutely needs to improve. I didn't do those things because during the subjective, he was just like gassing us up. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
I think I'm about to sell you the package right now without doing an assessment. Uh, but that's the whole thing, right? It's like, you live and you learn. It's like always go back, tried and true. Even when someone is giving you certain signs, stick with the script, stick with the things that always works. And when it doesn't, switch it around. Because even when you might have the hottest lead, it's like you still got to do the thing that you do well.
I love that. But yeah, guys, like sales is just something that even to this day, it's still something I'm looking. Me and Andy are both consistently looking to improve and refine. It's just it's the same thing with clinically, right? Like every single year, okay, can we learn something new? Can we add it to our toolbox and continue to get better at it? But the only way I feel like you can really get better at it from the beginning is just if you approach it with the right mindset. Otherwise, if you view sales as something that's like super icky, as something that is just like not a part of physical therapy and it's just something that you don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, then you're gonna have a very hard time like being successful in this. And so highly encourage you guys, like the sooner you get comfortable with sales, like the sooner you're gonna be able to help more people in this profession.
Anyone that wants to succeed in life needs to get good at sales and marketing. It's like, it's in every single industry. Even if you have the most amazing product, right? Think about Steve Jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the iPod, right? It's like, that's still salesmanship. Like, all of those things, no matter how good your product is, you still have to get good at sales. You still got to get good at tonality. And like, I think there's Peter Thiel. This guy's awkward as you can be on camera, but he literally hires consultants to help him craft better speeches and work on all these things because he knows that it goes beyond just the product itself. You've got to get good at delivering the message.
Yeah, and when it's done really, really well, like it's a lot of fun. Just like being able to kind of overcome certain objections, help people view things through different lenses. See people get the result when you're actually selling them into something. Like it's a lot of fun. Same thing like viewing it from a consumer side when oftentimes I'm being sold something and I see it done so well. I'm just like, man, it doesn't feel like I'm being sold to. It's just like effortless. Like, yeah, take my money. I want your help. Like, help me now.
And when you're growing your team, one of the most fun parts of it is like, I remember one of our PTs like called me. He's like, yo, 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 close my first plan of care. I'm like, let's go. And I'm like just celebrating over the phone. I'm like, let's go, dude. I'm so proud of you. So stoked. That's awesome. Right. But it's like, you do this for yourself and you're going to eventually have to do it for other people as you grow because you're essentially trying to create versions of yourself and hopefully they become even better than you clinically in sales and all the other things that they can take on bigger roles.
Yeah,
Anything
100%.
else, Peter?
No, I love the fact that we ended on the fact that hey, just when you can do it at scale and you have your entire team do it, it's so rewarding, man. Like I look at our Slack channel every single day, and a lot of the wins that we have in our channel is just our PTs like, yo, like 10-week PIF, yo, like conversion from Planetary Discharge to membership, able to help this person get XYZ, like close them onto XYZ, and so a lot of times like we celebrate these wins because like we know if we're selling somebody something, like they're getting results, they're getting the help that they can, and it's no better like feeling when you see something that you've been able to like curate a skill in other people so that they can multiply and impact even more people at large at scale. And so yeah, it's a good feeling, man. Sales is fun. Love sales.
Let's go. Guys, quick transition. No transition for that one because we're running out of time. But we got our first official live webinar this Sunday. You're not going to want to miss this, but especially if you're someone that has not been able to hit over 10K, or maybe you're just getting going and you're like, you don't know where to start, big picture view, you're going to want to attend this one. We're going to be doing two. This one is mainly focused on launching and getting you to your first 10K per month. And then we're going to do a subsequent one that's going to be focused on maybe you've done, you're closer to a 20 to 30K range and you're thinking about hiring and scaling beyond yourself. Like, what do you need in place? But this Sunday, right before football, don't worry, I took that shit into consideration. 11 a.m. You could watch the webinar, then have a couple of light beers and watch your team, get after it. First week at NFL. But if you attend, there's going to be something dope at the end. We're going to definitely be giving you guys a little special something, something. And if you're listening to this and you're like, yo, how do I get in on this? You can message me at Dr. Fata-Chan or message at Go Getters Coaching and just the words launch and we'll take care of the rest. But it's going to be a fire webinar. I think we already got 50 people sign up for this. So it's definitely going to be some dope Q&As. I'm going to stick around afterwards, to answer any questions. And if you're like, yo, I'm doing 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever K per month. And you're just like, I just want to kick it, see how you guys present. And I might want to just pull up for some Q&A afterwards. Let's get it, man. Just bring the vibes.
It's gonna be a great weekend. But yeah, proud of you guys.
Let's fucking go. Peace, guys.
Bow, 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 bow.
Pew.